Hello, everybody. We had a much larger panel when this was supposed to start, so we had more questions. But let's see what best we can do. So let me start with the last one, and this first question let's put to people over here. Have any of you created an experience for consumers where you had them as part of the story, which was so entertaining that they wanted to be sharing that moment? Is there any example that anybody has here? You know, some great experience that you created. Goldie, anything you did in terms of an experience that you created for your customer? Okay, so any experience you created for the customer where they were so happy with that, they were so entertained to be a part of the story that they wanted to share it on their own handles.
So we have so many kind of influencers, right? Tech, regional, nano, micro, so many influencers. Now, few of us have heard about retailer influencer. Again, this is my favorite always. Many of us would not know how much our sellers, right? Our retailers, our channel partners, they also want to be influencers, or they are big influencers. So we did this beautiful vox pop where, one of the retail influencers, you won't believe, he was there on the streets. He was talking about a mobile phone, right? And he was talking the benefit language rather than the feature language. If you go and ask a consumer what is a AI, wo bolega jadoo hai. Frankly, he doesn't understand so many nuances about it. But what it does to his daily transaction in his life. So he made some features, use the consumers and explain it how it works well for him. And he captured in his vox pop and he posted in his handle. It got 2 million views organic without any paid anything. And when it was posted, and this consumer was all happy, thinking that yes, he's also arrived in life and he's done. One is he benefited understanding the product better, also from a seller's language, because he operates in multiple brands. And the third part is he got a best deal for the money what he spent, and coverage free ka mil gaya, right? So this is a delightful factor where you are not only engaging a consumer being part of the decision-making process, but also he's got a validation from an influencer who's not committed to any brand as such. He's true, he's God. Because in India, still 8 out of 10 consumers buy what the retailer suggests them. The buying decision changes at the point of sales. So I think this is one example I would say where, which is an opportunity which all of us can tap,
Thank you.
Beyond, yeah.
Maybe I can add one example, not a very mind-blowing idea, but very simple thing sometimes that you do. For example, I run or head the marketing for an olive oil brand, a cooking oil brand. We used to do a very simple, it was an IP that we created, Kitchen Queen cooking competition. Now, it might sound very okay to anyone, but imagine a housewife who doesn't have any exposure to showcase her talent. If you're giving her a platform, it may not get you millions of reach or awareness on your social media platform, but for that personal consumer, just to be awarded or recognized at a platform, at a brand level, is such a big high for them. Yeah. Because in her friends and family, because as I mentioned, she's a housewife, and they do not have that kind of opportunity to come out, share a stage, get rewarded, crown herself. So for them, it was such a beautiful experience. So, I mean, sometimes you need not to always optimize for a higher reach or awareness or clicks, but just to delight that particular consumer who will then advocate your brand and talk to their friends and family. So we've been using that for quite some time, and it's such a nice feedback that you get from them, and it's such a multiple confidence builder for those housewives.
Influencer marketing, I mean, this is influencer.
It's not
as a small, as an individual.
To me, we call it more of a customer delight. Okay. So I'm not looking for an influence or a reach from their platform, but I just want to give them a platform to share their skills and be a hero in their own community and share with their friends and family.
Yeah. We do something very similar. Sorry, can I? We do something very similar. We handle a home furnishing brand called Spaces as a part of our advertising mandate. And we do something called a chief style officer. It's pretty much the same thing. We get a lot of people to participate, showcase their talent, which otherwise, maybe in the daily chores, they're not able to do that. And it just gives us a very wonderful platform for many people to see it. We drive, of course, ROI, because it's an expensive event to do. We cannot just target one consumer and get them delight. Ultimately, the event has to give us the ROI, beyond the consumer who is participating, and encourage more and more people to, see that as an inspiration and either come and participate in the event or that we are doing, or participate in terms of the engaging with the brand to elevate her own experiences and, become a part of the clan.
Far more credible.
Far more credible,
You
absolutely.
have an experience also to share?
From a UGC point of
Yeah,
view,
yeah.
so I'll tell you something very latest. We launched a smartwatch, which is an AI-enabled smartwatch for Pro 6 Max. It has got two features. One is more towards the companionship, and the second is it kind of create a watch faces for you on your wrist. Okay, so you give a prompt, and it basically gives you a great result, something like very closer to a mid-journey giving that kind of an AI results, and you get a watch face. So we were trying to solve this problem from a very long time, where people want to try out a lot of watch faces on their smartwatch. So what we did, that before launching, every box we kept one card on the top saying create it and win it. Ultimately, we prompted them to create a lot of watch faces by themselves and put it on their social media. There were two insights which we were already working on. One, that they love to show off that they got a new smartwatch. And second, it will also show off their creativity. Because that's an AI watch face, and then everyone wants to show off that I can give a better prompt to give you a great creativity ultimately, right? And you will not believe, we've been able to convert almost 10% of the people of the watches sold. In short, if I've sold 5,000 units, I got 500 people posting it on social media.
Fantastic. But tell me the issue which most of us face as consumers also, that there is so much of content that we are being bombarded with and attention spans are small. Any of you have kind of navigated this well?
Yeah, so maybe I can. I mean, very valid question. And as a marketer, we all face this situation day in, day out, because there's so much of content, there's so much of noise. I'm using the noise, while I know you have the copyright for that. So much of noise, the media. But to be honest, personally, if I feel that it's not that maybe the attention spans are depleting, maybe the majority of the content that's being created is not even worth giving that attention to. The problem, or the real problem, is to solve. Sometimes, I mean, if you have to break away or break from the clutter of a noise, you need not to be louder. You need to be more relevant and more remarkable.
Empathetic.
More empathetic. I mean, consumers should feel that maybe he's getting talked. If you're trying to talk to anyone, you're technically talking to no one. Yeah. So it has to be more relevant and more remarkable communication. And if you are able to create those emotionally relevant, contextually timed content, I think people are willing to engage. Yeah. We are still living in that generation where we say that maybe it's the Instagram. Not every brand should plant 1 billion trees or try to save the planet. Purpose also could be as simple as solving a basic problem. If it's just making people's life a little more healthier, maybe financially more literate, or maybe talking a social issue. It doesn't have to be that I want to change the world, or I want to plant 1 billion trees, or I want to be more sustainable brand. So it should solve a real problem. The purpose, to my mind, should be more functional than fashionable.
What do you tell your clients when they say, okay, embed purpose into the campaigns?
So I think purpose has been really misused over the years to make it an advertising proposition, which is absolutely wrong. I think one of the most strongest purposeful brand in the world is Patagonia. And look at how they have embedded, purpose into their everything that they do, right from how the company started to how do they make profit to how do they source, ingredients for their clothing brand, and what they eventually do. The guy donated all the money and went back. That is what truly living by purpose is. We use purpose as tokenism in communication, and that's where it failed through. And like many of us have been talking outside and even here, consumers really see through it in today's day and time. I mean, if you're not authentic, if you're just, bullshitting with them, I mean, it's just a matter of time for them to, call it off and cancel it. So
I think I agree. The keyword is authenticity. What we have also understood that the people are much more knowledgeable. They consume so much content day in, day out that they understand who is bluffing the purpose, who is just actually doing that purposeful marketing around it. So even I feel that the authenticity is matters the more. The more honest you are to the customer, it kind of works. And I think there are so many Gen Z sitting, so they can actually give that direction. But I certainly feel they like when you are true to what you're marketing, and it kind of works in favor of you because they have all resources to test out whether you're actually saying truth or you're not.
But there is so much of misinformation also, which is there. How do you navigate either your brand wanting to put out, and I'll come to you for that, or if the brand finds that there is misinformation outside, how have you navigated? Any example?
no, I don't. I can't recollect any immediate example as such, but we tend to sometimes get brands come to us and saying that this is the kind of purpose-driven communication or branding that some other competitive brand is doing, which is not really true. But of course, out of sheer brotherhood, we don't take on those brands as such. But we tend to suggest most of our brands that if you don't believe in it, if you don't incorporate that in your everyday living, then please do not do that as a tokenism. CSR budget of 2% you can spend on many other things than just to make it a tokenism in advertising.
We were talking outside about platforms, and we were discussing about Insta, Facebook, Twitter. Some of these platforms, I'm sure all of them here would also like to know, which platforms are you advising a client not to be? I mean, it's a waste of money today.
So it's not such a black and white answer.
Because there's a lot of conversation on this outside.
But it's not a black and white answer because it depends on the brand's life stage. What life stage the brand is, what the brand wants to do. If it's a new brand, it needs to drive saliency, it needs to drive reach over impact in the immediate short term. And then over a period of time, it may move from impact over frequency.
No, let me add to that question.
I think
if you
I'll
want
just
to go
add on to
beyond
this is
metros.
where exactly your customer is. Vimal is promoting
that
where
we
it
all
has
know.
to be.
Marketing is reaching customer where he is, segmenting it. But let's say if you want to go beyond metros, then what platforms are you advising your client? And let me put it to all three of you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because I'm directly, as a client working there, as I said, it's not just about the platform. No platform is bad, right? It's just that they have a different set of audience to cater to. Yeah. So if there is a brand who's very urban, Gen Z, fashion company, they have to be maybe relevant on Instagram and maybe TikToks or the Snaps of the world. But if you are a traditional hand wash brand, Dettol or a Lifebuoy, which is majority of your market is from rural, newspaper and television are still relevant. I mean, in terms of, I know that there is a narrative which is going on that maybe television, linear television is out, it's only about digital. No, it's not a fair comparison. I mean, each platform is relevant, has their own consumer set. So sometimes maybe we marketers try to justify and try to move against that next shiny object that we want to do AI, we want to do this and that. But if my consumer is a rural guy, he doesn't understand a thing about AI. For him, still the newspaper, Dainik Bhaskar or Jagan or Times of India or an evening news of Aaj Tak is still as relevant as, or maybe even more relevant than maybe Instagram or Facebook can ever be. So it's about understanding your consumer and then maybe segregating your media channels.
Give me an example on such data-driven decision-making that you may have used in a campaign which worked very well.
So maybe I'll give you two examples of how we are using data. So first of all, we are, as I said, we are a traditional FMCG company. We do not have our own first-party data. We largely depend on our e-commerce channel partners to understand the or get some nuances of the data analysis. But whatever limited data that's available to us, the way we try to make sense is that one, for example, if you understand FMCG company, there is a general trade, which is your sales on the field who's trying to talk to the mom and pop stores and everything, and then your e-commerce player, which is like Amazon or a Blinkit of the world. Now, scaling your general trade business is extremely tough. because it's capital heavy, resources heavy. I cannot just build a general trade sales team overnight. I need to get that optimization resource. Now, how we take or use data is that we try to analyze the e-commerce sales. And let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, if I think that Amazon is doing extremely well in, let's say, Rohtak as a market, but my general trade, I don't have a general trade presence in Rohtak, maybe I'll try to build a team there. So maybe I'm using e-commerce data to scale my distribution in general trade, and vice versa. If I feel that maybe Dehradun is a good GT market for me, then I'll start putting more digital marketing budget in Dehradun. That if GT is doing good, then why not my digital or Amazon should also do good in Dehradun. So we are trying to optimize from one data set and trying to increase the distribution in general trade, and vice versa. We are trying to understand if my GT is better, let me use that data to build my online strength.
Shantanu, any example of
Yeah.
AI-based innovation that you implemented in a campaign of yours?
One though I already talked about,
Yeah.
which is completely, the watch was introduced with an AI features. One I can talk about from a data-driven point of view and mix it with the AI what you asked for. So I'll give you a live demonstration right away. Like, how many of women over here are wearing a smartwatch? See, none. That's an answer. So my data insight says the same thing. And the answer is very simple, that they tend to have a form factor is one of the crucial thing for them. Right? That the form factor need to go with their styling, need to go with their entire suits and everything. And they don't want anything else because it's a fashion statement for them. But what if I come up with an AI companion for them, which we introduce in our watch, which talks about that much more detailed analysis about women's health, which is kind of very much important for their in today's time. That how exactly you need to behave during your luteal phase or other stuff. I mean, honestly, this is what our data insights say, and we have seen that spike happening, that the people start using, whosoever women have started buying are actually using a lot of health insights, which are very subject to the women's, because women health is not same as men's health, and the insights and the data required for that, that is not available right now in the market. So I think, so one decision making is that what exactly women are looking for, and second, what they exactly need right now from a health perspective. That is something which we are trying to solve.
So, I mean, data is the base and insights. I mean, all of us are using technology. But if I come to you on the creative bit, how are you bringing in the human element?
Audiences are engaging with what kind of a content, and we do clustering. Today, even Meta has DCOs and various things, AI, tools ingrained in their distribution, where creativity gets optimized depending on what kind of clusters that one is talking to and how people are reacting to different stimulus. Okay. And of course, we use that data on a real-time basis from digital platforms. We, of course, use data from our own research tools that we have been using and customize ourselves to cater. One example I will tell you. We handle a brand which is a dairy brand, which is a tier 2 brand in Rajasthan, okay, from DS Group. That brand also sells in Delhi, okay, which is obviously, a metro market. Our communication for Rajasthan market and our communication for Delhi market are fairly different. Of course, there are overlaps, so we have to keep in mind that what happens when the audiences overlap. Is it going to become a schizophrenic brand? How do we maintain brand equity and stuff like that? But we have been using a lot of these insights of local insights, local dialects, local communities, local influences to target that market versus what we are doing in Delhi, which is a far more crowded and far more evolved market when it comes to dairy consumption.
Maybe just to add to that point, what we have done maybe in the past is that, so we are an olive oil category, right? So olive oil still, I would say still nascent in the Indian consumption behavior, and not many people have complete information about it. We realized it maybe 2.5 years back. We used to do a lot of influencer marketing, and we do a little bit of social listening. And someone was cooking using our product, one of the chef or an influencer, and people actually start writing that how can you cook in olive oil? Olive oil cannot be used for cooking. It's only meant for salad dressing or garnishing. So that's the half information. Our next campaign was actually based on that consumer insight that we got from social listening, was to break that myth that maybe that's an extra virgin olive oil that you use for salad dressing, but a refined olive oil can be used for deep frying. So our entire campaign was built on that insight that you can cook Indian food in olive oil as well. So that insight or that data came from a social listening tool that maybe we were using.
But do you think the craft of advertising, the craft in advertising and marketing, are you seeing that declining?
Oh, and how? I have spent my life in Ogilvy, which is based on creating advertising craft. I've worked on Fevicol and Asian Paints and Bajaj and whatnot. I cry every day with how the focus on craft has really reduced in the world of communication. I think people are looking for volume as content and volume as KPI as against impact, and it is suffering. If it doesn't matter how many times you are reaching the consumer, if that communication is not, moving him or reminding him of something, or he remembers even after the ad is gone, I think we are doing a disservice to the intelligence of our consumer set that we are targeting. So I'm trying to bring it back.
What KPIs do you advise your customers to focus on?
Depends on the brand life stage. I think it's a mix of both. We in our agency, we call ourselves that we manage long-term equity with short-term performance. There are short-term business pressures we cannot really deny in today's day and time. Everything is visible, everything has to be tomorrow. But even if we are creating a very small piece of content, if it doesn't add back to the equity of the brand in the long run, then we are wrong. And that is why first of all, we insist that the CMOs should be in the meeting. It should not be left to only junior brand managers, because of course, I'm nothing against them, but they have a very limited KPI of driving a certain part of the brand. If the decision maker is not aligned with what is the long-term equity of the brand, then anything that we do is immaterial.
Agreed. And have you faced this dilemma between immediate performance marketing or the short-term versus the long-term brand building, and then reporting to leadership when they're asking for numbers on that?
Yeah, I can definitely. We are born performance marketing
Every day.
Yeah, so I think I always say that, so been there from day one with noise. So I can tell you, like, we are born on Instagram, and this is what we know, and that's the truth. Okay, we are born on Instagram, and we know that the performance marketing has played a vital role in our success. We are known for one of the best performance marketing ever, like from what we have seen in the market data. That's what people tell us. But what I know that ultimately now time comes, which he said very rightly, it's the face of the brand. Like in what stage? So somebody need to understand, like, what is your category like, right? Somebody need to understand, is it a highly penetrated category or is it a growing category? You can still survive on a performance marketing when you are in a growing category, as compared to which is a highly penetrated category where you might require balance of brand also coming in. When a phase comes where your category is also highly penetrated, then you need to create a balance between them. I think there the approach comes of full funnel. Ultimately what we have seen it. So I think if you try to create that balance, still it is, I'll be honest, like still in this today's time, I've been using 2015 से हम लोग चालू कर रखे हैं online, but attribution is still a myth. Even today, like no one could crack it. Whatever you say, like searches कैसे spike होती हैं, Google से किसने खरीदा या फिर मेरे ब्रांड ने बेचा, किसी को नहीं पता. It's still a myth. So one thing which is important over here, even what you're doing on performance is also your brand marketing. Ultimately you are reaching it to a customer. Customer को नहीं पता ये brand marketing है या performance marketing है. उसको ये दिख रहा है ये ad आया है. So something we need to crack the balance over here. A brand marketing team can actually help in the content creation more of the performance marketing. What kind of communication you need to drive? You need to create that balance. Then you use a mediums, whether it is a full funnel, whether you are in that stage where you require an awareness, so you start with the full funnel approach. Or you are in a stage where you just need a performance, can actually survive because you have less budget. We have been all life bootstrap brand. So keeping this in mind, so it depends upon what kind of money also you have in the bank. So I think a lot of decisions are made on these bases. And that's where you need to strike a balance between both of them and convince your management or leadership. Still, I'm not able to convince. But yeah, this is one of the gyan which I could say that, which over the time, which I could see from my perspective. So yeah.
You need to create more noise.
Entertaining noise, which gets the eye, but yeah.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I mean, being a part of the marketing team, it's always I think what the main problem is that we marketeer or anyone human being, we always try to find that one holy grail or one thing that works. If you talk about investment, okay, tell me one investment that will double my money. Is it real estate? Is it SIP? Is it equity? But the real answer to the majority of life and career decisions, there is no one single answer. And there is a constant battle between performance marketing and brand marketing, but the simple answer is that it's unfair to compare the two. They both are solving a different objective. They are both equal. They are both equally relevant for the survival of a brand. It's like asking, is breathing important or eating?
True.
Everything is.
Very true.
While breathing is taking care of that, you will not die tomorrow. You have to make that immediate transaction. So performance marketing is taking care of your today.
Yeah.
You have to get that relevance transaction. But eating will give you, or maybe see you will be relevant or stay healthy to see the next day. So brand marketing is a slightly long-term game, which, as Shantanu mentioned, is very difficult to attribute or measure. It's like what we talk about long-term investment. And the compounding, the beauty of brand building works in the form of a compounding, which is very low in the initial phases, but trust me, I mean, over a period of time, if you're consistent about it, you will get to see those exponential results.
And I guess
so
the
idea is to diversify and not try to pick one from the two, but
absolutely.
to balance that.
And that, I think, is onus on the CMOs and the marketing people to convince their leaders or the people one works with on the importance of both.
They are the leaders.
They are the leaders, and there are a lot over here.
Let's not absolve them of their responsibility.
So is only the one who spends the money.
Let's do this quick one-word response. So traditional advertising.
What is the response?
You tell me. What do you want to say about it? One word. You could say
Irrelevant in today's day and time.
irrelevant.
It's not must-have. I mean,
Not
that's
just data.
non-negotiable.
To you, Mukesh.
Must have to maybe in today's time to be maybe staying relevant is just understanding the data analytics. I mean, making sense of the data, because moving forward, as we're discussing, more and more information would be available in the form of data. So if you are able to get those insights from the data, that would be most essential.
Agreed.
For me, creativity and tracking.
Okay, marketing myth you like to bust.
I busted one, like attributions to the myth,
Yeah,
but
yeah, actually.
marketing myth. It's difficult in Karan Johar's show though.
Okay, so you already busted one. Let's move on to you, Mukesh, then.
That maybe you can brief and create a viral content.
Yeah, agreed.
That's one thing every marketer is chasing, and
Make a viral ad.
make a
make a
viral
viral
ad. That's a single brief. Make a viral ad for me. I mean, it doesn't happen that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
I just plus one on a way. Anything which you think it is viral, it is not viral. It has been pushed virally.
True,
yeah.
right.
And whatever you see on LinkedIn are not.
Very true.
आते हैं हमारे पास भी sheets आती हैं, so no doubt.
I think we need to deprioritize frequency over impact. There is too much of focus on frequency. Even agencies are evaluated. We get penalized sometimes by clients saying that, यार तुमने 20 post बोला था, 15 बनाए हो.
Oh,
You know, I think we need to get our head right. Yeah.
The amount of engagement per post?
Yeah.
Isn't
Well,
that,
I'm not even getting to the basic metrics. I'm saying make impactful communication over volume of communication.
Yeah.
Even if we miss a Valentine's post, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or a Rath Yatra post miss is fine, as long as we are creating more impactful and engaging communication.
Agreed. Very true. Yeah, yeah. There, you said you don't have any.
I'm finding it interesting now. So, shares are more important than views.
Shares are more important than views.
Or comments.
Engagement is what is actually important. The shares.
Needed.
Engagement can be
engagement
manufactured.
can be manufactured. Okay. Okay, good one. Any
Yeah,
of
you
want
get
to
a
add
you
on
get
any
a
other
you get
myth?
a you get an army to comment.
Anybody wants to add a myth from here? Anybody has a myth you want to bust? Or we busted enough already? Okay, let's get on to a skill.
More outside the beer. Over a beer.
A skill that a marketeer of tomorrow, you said analytics skills probably. A skill you need to hone. You all agree on analytics, or there's any other skill you want to add on, which a marketeer should have?
I think just relevant with the time, like what is happening right now is more important. Like if you do, in my entire life, I've never done any kind of a course, which is like a digital marketing course or something like that. So what I know is when you're living in the current state of marketing, that is more important. So what's going to happen tomorrow, even none of us can predict. So I think being relevant to the time is the more important thing when it comes to skills. Every day there's a new format, or every day there is a new like short form content came. Earlier long form content work कर रहा था, बीच में podcast चालू हो गए थे, फिर कभी अब AI based marketing हो गई है पूरी performance. You don't have to do anything, right? So ultimately somebody need to be relevant with the time. So in today's time everyone is looking for AI based marketers also, right? So I think just be relevant with the time.
No, things are moving so fast.
Maybe if
so
I have to add one in that, so while I understand that AI, understanding the new tools, and I myself said that data analytics, but I think the one very important fundamental thing which moving forward will stay relevant is that to be empathetic to your consumer. And this I see in my daily life, whatever my team members are, because now everything is digital marketing. Their only focus is to understand the how does algorithm works, viral kaise hota hai, ye kaise hota hai. We, in that whole conversation, forget about consumer. There's no consumer touch. We are not talking to the consumer. We are not stepping outside our desk. Because maybe
that's
data
another very good one. You can't do marketing sitting on the chair. You got to step out.
Maybe data can show you the trend, but it will not put a map. It will not guide you that what are the steps you have to take. That will only happen if you talk to the consumer, understand the consumer, live or understand their life.
And research yourself.
Research
Go down
yourself,
and talk and not just base data.
That connection is very important.
Can I add one must-drop quality of a marketer going forward? Like must have to bol diya, must drop.
Acha, boliye.
I think marketers should stop thinking they're creative. Working out an ad from a ChatGPT
and outsource that to agencies.
Outsource that to the agency.
Let the experts do their job.
But I hope they are not using the ChatGPT themselves.
This was a plug.
Nice pitch.
मैं DeepSeek use करता हूँ.
Okay, the last one. All of you, one book that you feel everybody should be reading today, in today's times, not Kotler, but today's time, what should one be reading to really be in touch with what's happening or kind of...
So I don't read. I'm going to be honest, like I don't read. I've never read any book.
You're not Gen Z, are you?
Not at all. Like I'm going to be more transparent and honest. But I do listen a lot of podcasts and something. Like everyone consume content in a different way. There are people consume it in a reading. I consume it in that way. So I feel...
no, that's okay. So, tell us a podcast that you think everybody should be...
I think WTF is good. The Nikhil Kamath show. You get to understand much more deeper about the business. The second which I know is I really like the recently started by a Whole Truth founder, The Whole Truth of Marketing, which is a recent. And I think these two. And then you can always search on Spotify whatever topic you want to learn about. And you will get a lot of podcasts. So there's no particular loyalty towards a podcast, but
we wanted to know one that you want to recommend, so which you have done.
So I
which
think-
you like and which you want to recommend?
I think, yeah, Nikhil Kamath,
Yeah. That I think most
they're very
people are
interesting.
watching,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, Mukesh?
Book, maybe I'll answer the book first because I read it a couple of years back and I found it extremely amazing. It's called How Brands Grow by Byron Sharp. I think it's an amazing book. I mean, even after maybe completing 10, 12 years, it was still refreshing to go through those pages. But yes, even today I also consume a lot of podcasts, but maybe reading has maybe a different sense of observation and absorption. So that's one book I would definitely recommend to every aspiring marketer or a practicing marketer.
I don't have Instagram, so I don't watch Instagram and I don't follow, yeah. I think one
revelation.
book that one should read is a CEO Factory by Sudhir Sitapati. It's a most amazing book, talks about how to build a business and not just build communication. There is another very interesting book which gives a lot of insight about Tier 2 and the Bharat. I forgot the name of the book, but it's by Rama Birjapurkar. So one should read that too. I don't remember the name, but it's an absolutely insightful book about Tier 2 and Tier 3 consumers and their purchasing behavior.
I accidentally read one.
Remembered a book.
So it was Open
late
House.
bloomer, huh?
No, I'm so sorry. It just reminded me. It was Open House by Piyush Pandey.
Lilliput Land, that's right.
Okay, cool. So it was Open House by Piyush Pandey. That is very interesting. Like it.
Any
kind of
book
drives-
anybody else here wants to recommend? So this is, I think if there is one person who will be very happy to ask this question, that is Ajay, if you know of Kunzum Cafe, who's been really trying to push people into reading. And as you can see, all the leaders here, the CMOs, everybody is into reading book. There is no option. Whether you're listening to podcasts, you might have a lot of content finding your way, but if you need good quality stuff to actually elevate thinking, I guess reading.
And also there is a difference. When you are watching something
Yeah.
or hearing something, you're hearing the perspective of that person. When you're reading something, you're interpreting that basis how you think, how you process it. It's a difference between watching a movie and watching reading a book.
Yeah. Should we move it now if anybody has any question to ask? Yep.
Very less people, you can shout.
Yeah, we'll be able to hear you.
There are certain categories which are very particular about brand, but there are certain product categories where maybe it's just about product. If the product is adding value to my life, I'm okay.
And there'll be bias for that. So
Yeah, there would be bias for that.
I mean, it's the way they're marketing. Like, if they're marketing that pH level is much better than the Bisleri, they win it. So I think yes, absolutely. I think.
They were doing really well in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So
One recommendation: do not watch
Very
Shark
high
Tank.
possibility.
Yeah, maybe because they are solving a product
Need
problem,
over
not a
there.
brand problem.
Yeah. And a need that might be there locally, maybe the particular product which they're comparing, they might be at a far lower.
But it is
price
not
level.
harming the real brand.
Yeah.
Because
It will not.
Consumer set is very different. Uber से उतरते हुए Louis Vuitton लेके उतरोगे तो पता लगेगा.
Okay.
I think I'm going to be honest. We still have to do a lot of work over there. I think it depends upon different stages. When we had a stage of making sure that we are penetrated in the market, and make a right tech is more important than anything else in the initial phase. And we still surviving. I think today only we got an IDC report, and you should actually check that report. So you will see that graph, that how we've been able to sustain the leadership position, whereas the other brands came and gone, and because they're not able to work on their tech as much as we could do. And I think it depends upon the stage. Now we have a stage, we are much more stable, and we will are working on that level also, where we start connecting with the community side. And you will not believe, we have almost 10 million plus downloads on our app right now, which is our smartwatch app. And we've created a social media internally where people are sharing their updates comparatively, like what are they up to from and just guess how many people are posting every day on that app, like a social media. Around 10,000 people. So I think we just started, I would say. We still to do a lot more. I kind of agree with you. So, yeah.
So I think let's bring it to a close over here, and then you can pick up the questions outside. But I guess we all agree the fundamentals of marketing still remain the same, which is understanding the consumer, the need, researching, reaching down. It's just the tools to do all that. You have many more, and you have far more platforms to actually reach the consumer, far more ways of actually reaching, ways of customizing. So the product marketing is actually far more definitive than probably what it was before, that one can do, but it's become more complex and far more difficult for CMOs. So have fun while we're doing it, and keep agile when it comes to what's evolving every other day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.